Welcome to Syntax. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Front End Happy Hour podcast.
Welcome to this week's JS Party.
Live from Shipshape Studios, this is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot, with your hosts, Robbie the Wagner and me, Charles William Carpenter III.
That's right, Charles. We drink whiskey and talk about web development. I mean, it's all in the name. It's not that deep.
This is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot. Do not adjust your set.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is not Miami and not rum. If you were listening to the last episodes, you might be confused, but I'm back, so you get to hear my sexy voice. And I'm here with Chuck, as always.
Yeah, you know who's confused? It's Robbie, because we couldn't live stream those. So nobody heard them live. They're still in the backlog. To be released. Yeah, the internet at conferences is bad. Yeah, no one else is confused. Just Robbie. But I survived.
Yes. Things that are not bad.
AI.
We have a guest today, Marc Backes. What's going on, Marc?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me, Robbie, Charles.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Could you please give the folks at home a few sentences about who you are and what you do?
So yeah, as Robbie said, my name is Marc. I'm a software engineer. I'm currently a tech lead in a company in Germany. I'm based out of Luxembourg. I work a lot with Vue.js and Nuxt. That's about it.
There you go. That's it in a nutshell.
Short and sweet.
Yeah. Now let's see if we can interview our friend Evan here. Chuck, you got something?
Right. I've got something. We all have something. All right. So today's whiskey is the Evan Williams single barrel. It is 86.6 proof. So just 43.3% alcohol for those who cannot divide. Mash bill of 78% corn, 12% rye, and 10% malted barley. It is not age stated on here. We might have different bottles in terms of the release. Mine's a 2015, aged until 2015. And
this
then
is put in oak 2015.
Barreled on. Yeah.
2013 here.
Yeah. Mine says barreled on 2015. Wait, we can do some math. And bottled in 24. So that's a little over 8 years, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah. 8.5, 9.
Yeah,
Depends.
so it is age stated. Well, not 9, because it's just...
Bottled. It's 21 on mine.
Nice. Ooh.
Oh, because it was like the last couple of days of 15. I see. Yeah. So you're right. 8.
Right. Yeah. So we have the same. Marc is lucky he gets a different, but that's because you're in a whole other country and getting you whiskey is a whole other adventure. So
It is.
There is that. By the way, today's episode is brought to you by norlandglass.com.
Yes. Every day's episode is brought to you by Norland Glass.
Yeah, because we drink out of them. Why not? So what we do is we just say company names and then we send them bills.
Yeah. Cool. This episode is brought to you by Nintendo.
Send me a free Switch. The Switch 2, releasing on June 5th, at least in the States.
The aroma is very light.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the color.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. I like that. Share for the people. It's got a very
smells like
amber, orangey kind of.
A little bit of fruit. I can't put my finger on.
See, I feel like I'm getting lemongrass in the smell.
Well, I mean that's maybe
or a dried apricot, perhaps.
We haven't had a dried apricot in a while.
Sweet, like a
Definitely
creme brulee or something like that.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to prime the palate a little. Oh, yeah. A lot of sweet up front, it seems like. Ooh.
Definitely getting the dried apricot.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe a wet
I don't know
apricot,
if
I'm not sure.
Yeah, now it's wet, but...
Not sure.
Yeah, I definitely get some of that brown sugar creme brulee that you're mentioning, like right on the initial taste. I still feel like I get a little like lemony, lemongrass, some kind of like citrus, like midway through. Interesting. Any other things you pick up there?
Are you asking me?
Anyone, really?
No, I don't know. There's something a little bit harsh somewhere.
It's got cinnamon on the finish, and it does burn on the way down. For a lighter, under 90 proof, I'm actually surprised at the amount of heat in it. Not crazy, but it's definitely there.
But it's okay.
Well,
But
that's
it's spicier than it smells. So
Yeah, for such a high corn, also, it's kind of surprising. Like that's where I pick up the sweet. There's like so much corn in there. And then with like a nice 8-year age, I'm not getting any woodiness or anything out of there, which is also a little bit surprising. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not sure where I'm feeling about it. But while we think about that, then I can quickly explain to the audience and to Mark that we have a highly technical rating system that we apply to these tastings. So it's from 0 to 8 tentacles. 0 being horrible, spit it out, which you haven't done yet, but maybe you're just polite. 4, just middle of the road, not bad, not amazing. Would drink, wouldn't really seek it out. And then 8 is just, this is awesome, clear the shelves. And clear the shelves meaning in this context is if you see it out at the store, you probably are just going to buy every one you see because it's your favorite. Robbie, do you think you could apply said rating?
I certainly do. So are we calling this just a bourbon or what would we say?
It is.
Single barrel bourbon?
It is. Yeah.
Single barrel bourbon, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So in terms of bourbons, I don't know. The first 90% of it is really good. I feel like it has a lot of good flavors going for it, but there's something at the end that is throwing me off that I don't like the aftertaste. So it's not like a 100% pleasant experience. That being said, the initial stuff is very good. So I'm going to give it a 5.5, I believe.
Nice.
So, yeah. Are you inspired, Mark?
It doesn't have the typical bourbon taste that I expected, but I do like it. It would be something that I would grab if what should I drink today? One of my whiskeys. This one, nice choice. Could also be a little bit below daily driver, something like that. So maybe a 6. I would give it a 6 out of 8. I quite like it.
Yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I feel like this is at a slight disadvantage having been tasted behind the Double Oak Woodford recently, which these are not price comparative. So the plus side of this for a nice single barrel aged 8 years, you're looking at something around $60, I want to say, $50-$60 to pick up. And so that's nice. They are a little rarer.
8 years.
Yeah. We were reading at the beginning around when it was barreled, when it was bottled. All of that is handwritten. So that's how small the batches are. Single barrel probably has 120 bottles, give or take, in it. So there's that as well. All of those things considered, it is nice and interesting. Unfortunately, yeah, like Robbie said, I like the smell. That's great. The initial profile is kind of nice to me, but so far, it's not the first time I've had this, but it has been a while. You have a cinnamon punch at the end is kind of not sitting great with me, maybe as it opens up. But right now I'm kind of feeling like it is above average. It is something that, with the wax top and everything is kind of nice. I don't know, I'm at a 5.5 maybe. It's kind of better than average, but some other things I've had recently have really just wowed me in comparison. So, give or take with that one.
Pick it up if it's affordable and available.
Yeah, that's kind of what I say.
Yep.
It's a nice bottle to have with friends, but not
a nice
amazing.
addition to the collection, right? Still.
The collection in my liver, because that's usually where I store them.
Yes, I store mine on the shelf, and Chuck stores his in his body.
Yeah, it seems to be keeping me alive. I'm 147, and
I think it's like formaldehyde. It just keeps all the things at bay.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, if I change that, I'll let the folks know. But for now, I'm kind of I'll just land on 5.5.
All right. Sounds good. Other things that people might think are about a 5.5. TypeScript.
Oh, not your height? He is taller than that, but you would think,
Well, I mean, height jokes from you is...
I know. It's a stretch.
Aha. All right. So we have a few things that are supposedly hot takes, more lukewarm takes at this point, but in TypeScript, do you use inferred types or explicit types?
I would say it depends. I would go inferred for many cases, but where it's important to see, to get from the context that which type you need, I would go with explicit. Yeah, if it's not clear what you get, I would put it in, I lean a little bit more towards explicit. but obviously not for everything.
Yeah, it always depends, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here's the
Depends.
crazy one. This is really dividing the community at large, but Tailwind or vanilla CSS?
Tailwind all the way.
Here it is, controversial take right here.
Is it though? I feel like most
Not
people
really.
like Tailwind
Yeah.
these days.
What I like about Tailwind is that it sort of forces you to write cleaner components because you don't want to repeat all that markup, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't like the idea of it, and then when I tried it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is very nice, and you're quite fast with it. And as I said, it sort of forces me to write cleaner components to like, okay, this is reusable and really like make a component for it and not just repeat it like lazily. So I like Tailwind.
That's
Same.
fair. Would buy the T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could. They sell T-shirts.
Yes, I know.
Something that I don't think does have a T-shirt. Get Rebase or Get Merge.
For years and years, I've been using Merge, and I never really got into Rebase. So I would say Merge, but for some cases, probably
Listen,
Rebase.
you're not going to make senior on your next review. I know you're a lead, but actually you're not going to make senior. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can live with that. I can live with that.
that's fair. What do you think about nested ternaries?
No. Don't do that.
No, don't do that.
Don't like. I would only use ternaries when it's like really short and like easy to read, and then even if it's one line, and then everything else, no.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Fair
related to that, I used my first nested ternary the other day. I think the reason that this became a thing, which I didn't even realize at the time because I don't use React, but I think it's a JSX problem where you're trying to like decide what to render where, and you're like, you want it to be a multi if statement. You can't use real if statements because you're in JSX.
Well, yeah, but you can do the whole component thing where it's like Boolean and the component, and then if those are both true, which the component's always true, but if your Boolean's true, show this one. So you can kind of separate it where it gets more readable. I mean,
This is why people say that that React is a mess.
Right, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Like
It is
it's-
messy.
It can become messy. Like I'm not a React developer. I haven't worked with React. I have just seen some React code, and I was like, what are they doing here? Like, why is it like it hurts my eyes? Like coming from Vue.js, it's like the syntax is so clean and nice, and then you look at the React code, and it's like, oh my god.
Yes.
Right.
We feel the same way. Check out whiskey.fun for a React was a mistake t-shirt.
Oh gosh, there we go. This is just a plugs episode. So I'm gonna latch on to what you said there about like you're not a React developer, but like nobody's a React developer, right? They are a JavaScript developer who predominantly utilizes that tool or something. Yeah, you don't think
They don't
I mean,
necessarily
there's
know
jQuery
JavaScript.
developers too.
You could learn just React and not know what JavaScript really is. There's a lot of people that do that, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think people come into it being able to create things in React because that was a learning path, and then whether they like regressively go deeper into just the core language, possibly, but I don't know. I just feel like when you brand yourself to a library or a framework or whatever, I'm a Tailwind developer. No, but I use Tailwind to be productive and do some things. Yeah,
I had a similar thing. Like I consider myself a Vue developer. I have worked with Vue for 6 years, and before I just used jQuery and stuff. And now that I was looking for a new job, I was like looking for Vue jobs, and there's not as many Vue jobs as React jobs. And then, then it says like you need 5 years of experience in React, and then I'm like, okay, I have to discard this because I don't know. And then I posted a tweet. A post on X.
It's still a tweet.
yeah, it's still sweet in our view.
Asking like how difficult is it to learn, and people apparently are like 80% were like, yeah, you pick it up quickly, and there was like 20% of no, like there's no chance, like you have to really learn it like deep and stuff.
They're just gatekeepers, right? It's like, sure, there are deep nuances to things that you could get into, but like, is that 80+% of the use cases? Probably not. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what magic you know at 5 years in that specific library versus, 6+ years in another library, just understanding like the difference in the syntax, right?
Well, these days it's a lot more similar. Like modern Vue and modern React are both kind of like, I don't know what Vue calls it. I'm ignorant on that, but it's like hooks based.
Yeah.
It's all
composables, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a similar paradigm. So like your mental model is probably very similar. You don't have to use JSX though. So JSX is not great, but
like you can, but I don't know why you would in Vue.js.
Yeah.
Maybe it just has like a bridge technology, like, oh great,
Yeah,
I've been
coming
using
from
React. Yeah, and you're like, great, well, like
Maybe, yeah.
take that out of the way, start my projects that way, and then maybe like move to not. Food for thought.
do we care about any of the rest of these, Chuck, or should we just go to tech topics?
I don't care about anything, Robbie.
Yes,
You know this.
I also have similar opinions. So what I do care about, you mentioned a few things you wanted to talk about, and I didn't exactly know what this meant, so I wanted to dive deeper. Can you tell me what a real, in quotes, code base is?
Oh, yes, I know what you're referring to. When you go on social media, especially on X or Twitter, and you see like all these code that people post, and like it makes you think, especially when you want to get into, let's say, software development or web development, and you see this, and then you get the idea that all the code looks like super clean and is super neat and flawless, basically. Real code or enterprise legacy stuff is like a whole lot more messy than that. That's what I was referring to. Why is that? Because we are not living in an ideal world, right? So you have a deadline, and then another deadline comes, and then you have to take shortcuts, and then there's not necessarily immediately time to fix the shortcuts, and then it stays in there, and then 5 years later you look at it and it's like, you're like, what happened here? Like, why is this code so messy? And you don't even remember
Who wrote
anymore.
this? Oh, wait, it was
Who
me.
wrote this? Oh, blame me 5 years ago. Yesterday, I think I posted about, I had to fix a bug where the cause was that a variable had a string undefined instead of real undefined on it. So it's like sort of some legacy stuff that happened somewhere, and people in the comments were sort of hinting towards like, oh, how did you code this? Was this coded by AI, or like just use this thing and like this piece of technology, and we will make everything easier, but not if your code base is like 150,000 lines of code. You can't just plug anything in there. And yeah, so ideal code versus real world code is different thing.
Yeah, I think anytime a company starts actually making money and having users, you're going to start cutting corners and having bad code and building up tech debt, because you're prioritizing what's going to make you the most money, not what's going to make your developers happy. So you always end up with tons and tons of tech debt. And like, if you've worked at any company that is of a sufficient size, you're going to be like, who wrote all this? It's awful. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it works.
Unfortunately.
That's the thing, is make it work is sort of the priority, and that's when a lot of deep inefficiencies could happen. But at the end of the day, it meets the business objective. It works. That's kind of the real world we live in.
Yeah, but I feel like often the point is not seen that the more tech that you accumulate, the more difficult it becomes to create new features, and the more easy it becomes to create issues. It becomes very easy to create bugs just because there is so much technical debt. So it's important to stress to management or whatever to like start eliminating. Like, it's okay to cut corners, but eventually it should lead towards getting fixed. At least if it's like something like cutting hard corners, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing that I've always complained about, is like, nobody wants to prioritize and fund fixing the tech debt. And like, if you don't, it's just going to become worse and worse. Shouldn't have to ask for permission to fix things. Like, if you notice the test coverage is lacking on a thing, or you notice it's using paradigms from 5 years ago and you need to update it to like new APIs or whatever, you should just be able to do that as part of your job as an engineer. You shouldn't have to be like, hey, can I pretty please update this? Like, it should be just allowed as part of your job instead of this like, oh, I must only ship features in the hackiest way possible.
I try to not incentivize it, but motivate engineers to like just, if you see something that's fixable, quickly just do it. And
yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of how it ends up working in the real world. Like asking permission is a difficult process with which to like negotiate and navigate. Even, it takes a lot of time to play that game. So you need to sort of, if you see things along the way, make improvements. And then conversely, like from a team side, you figure out clever ways to interwork what you need. If something needs a refactor, you try to be like, well, we're touching it with this feature. Is that a chance to like, do a bit of that work as part of what we're already doing? Getting heavy-handed approvals to like make major changes or refactors or add 30% more test coverage is a tough thing to like get product people to agree to get the business side to agree to.
Yeah.
That was kind of like ask for forgiveness, to be honest.
Can we take 3 sprints to refactor this?
Right. Yeah. That's always going to be a no. Ooh, yeah. Well, let's defer that to Q3 and talk about it again, Yeah. And then, of course, by Q3, you have Q3 more features, objectives, whatever else coming into it.
Features.
Yeah. Add AI. We've got to add AI somewhere.
Yeah.
Where?
No.
I don't know. Somewhere.
Yeah.
That's, maybe the AI knows where we should add it.
Yeah. Related to this, you could always take some of your free time and do the things that you don't feel like you don't have time for during work hours. But is that a good decision? Tell me about how you like maintain a good work-life balance.
I used to be like that, but then I noticed that the company doesn't really care about it. And work-life balance has become more and more important to me in the recent, let's say, 5 years. Maybe it has with COVID, or it's just a coincidence. I used to be like the over-the-top, working into the night, like sort of guy. Work-life balance. Now I like over the years I've gotten to a point where I work for 28 hours a week for a pretty nice salary. I always prioritize that to like sort of, if I get a little bit less money, like I could get way more than I already do by working full time. But I think if you can, or at least that's me, if I can, I will prioritize time over money, because the money you will get money eventually, but the time you won't get back. So if I can use the time I'm not working to do something cool or something fun, something that I enjoy, I will prioritize that. And I think I felt guilty in the beginning because I used to do so much extra work that nobody was expecting. But I think you just have to put your boundaries at one point. You just have to say, I would prefer if we can, like, just not do it today, maybe do it tomorrow or whatever. Just not do overtime. This is my limit. Like, I work until whatever time, for example, 5 p.m., which doesn't mean that I won't like do longer days at some point, but just if it's necessary. And it shouldn't be the rule. It shouldn't be like, oh yeah, like we have to, like, I shouldn't pay with my time for the screw ups in management that situation resulted from. So makes sense.
No, I mean, absolutely. It makes tons of sense. I think like having boundaries there and deciding, like you said, you're willing to do it when necessary, but like, what does necessary look like, and having like some convictions around what necessary is, so that is not taken advantage of and utilized when actually truly necessary. I also think it's like different points in your career. Like folks are more apt to work extra earlier in their career. I mean, some reasons are it just takes them longer to figure it out because they don't have the experience to get to the answers all the same. So maybe sometimes that's an artifact of guilt or, desire to learn. And you spend a little more time, all of a sudden you did a 10-hour day or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then later in your career, the things that would have taken you 8 hours now take you 2 hours, or you're more efficient. And so why should you be punished for being more efficient if you're still productive in a different block of hours than someone else, it doesn't make you, well, you should work twice as much now that you're twice as efficient. No.
Yeah.
So that business gets twice as much from you, but pays you the same, So
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a lot of artificial urgency. Like the, saying, can we do it tomorrow thing? People will be like, hey, I'm online right now. I'd like for it to be fixed right now. And you're like, well, what happens if it's not? What happens if I don't work here anymore starting right now? Like, something will give and it will be okay. The world will not end because this thing wasn't done today.
Yeah. I always think, what happens if I, from now on, I will be in the hospital for a month? What happens then? Like, they won't stop working. They won't stop doing business. So it will be fine, like, for sure.
This just in, Whiskey.fund is now open for all your merch needs.
That's right, Robbie. We're hearing reports of hats, sweaters, and t-shirts, as well as a link to join our Discord server.
What's a Discord server?
Just read the prompter, man.
Hit subscribe, leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, and tell your friends about our broadcast.
It really does help us reach more people and keeps the show growing.
All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
I mean, it affects your health as well. Not sleeping a lot, thinking a lot about work. Like I try to, like over the years, I can't tell you how I did it, but I managed to, like, after work, not think about work too much. Unless it's something like super messy or something, I don't know. But I managed to sort of, after I close my office door, I just don't think about it. My wife is like, I can't do that. Like I am thinking all the time about, like, I sort of managed to just mentally close that and move on with my day and do after work whatever I want to do.
Yeah, that's a skill. I feel like I'm always thinking about work, and then like I'll be at dinner somewhere and be like, oh yeah, that's how I fixed that thing I was thinking about earlier. Like I never really can turn it off.
So Robbie's still practicing. He needs
Yes.
to get on that
Yes.
train with you, Mark.
I don't know if it's a good or bad thing though, because sometimes you just fix issues walking like outside, and then you're like, oh, I can solve it this way, and then you go home and then you fix it. In my past, I just woke up with a solution to something,
Yeah.
to some crazy, and then you work 2 days on it, you got nowhere, and then you just wake up with a magical solution, and it ends up just working. So haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah, I've dreamt coding many a time and woken up and been like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted. But yeah, I totally agree that even if you're still thinking about work, like the best way to solve problems is to step away from them sometimes. Like go take a walk, go do something else. Because if you're just staring at a thing, every time I've stared at a thing, it takes me like 15 hours to solve it. But if I like walk away, I can do it in like an hour or two. It's like, oh yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, relax your mind does quite a bit. So, and you can even do that during work hours. So,
Yep.
there's that aspect of it too, is that sitting in front of your computer, there's the misnomer of if my hands aren't touching a keyboard, I'm not working or giving value necessarily. I can't be monitored otherwise. That's one of the downsides for some managers about remote culture is they want to see you at the desk. But even when I worked at a desk, I sometimes would be like, I need a 15-minute walk. So I can
Yeah,
just
I would more frequently get way less done sitting at a desk in an office because you have to pretend like you're doing things. If you're at home, you can just like do whatever you need to do for your process to get your work done. And as long as you're getting work done, who cares how long it took you or what you were doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the right environment, I think that helps a lot because I definitely had been in environments in an office even that encouraged you to, do what you need to do. Like I said, I'm going to get up and take a 15-minute walk around the block and just mental break and see where that gets me.
If you're working from home, it helps to have if possible, to have a room that's only for working. So you close the door and then you just remove yourself completely from the situation. So your mind becomes complete. Like if you're working from the living room, I know not everybody can do this, but if you work from the living room and then you relax on the couch, like you still see the computer sitting there, and then you can't, you're thinking about like it won't work. You have to remove yourself from the situation completely, if possible.
I also was a big advocate for not putting work email on your phone However, I've done that now with my new job. But in my previous job, I didn't have it, and it was great because I just couldn't see anything. Like if it was urgent, someone would like ping me on Slack and, force it to notify me or whatever. But it was pretty nice not seeing all of that after you were done for the day.
Yeah, I also don't have it on my phone. Like if I leave my office, it will stay here until tomorrow. The issue will be there tomorrow. So if it's urgent, someone would call me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's true.
I won't be happy about it, but they will call me if it's really urgent. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how they'll know it must be Mark's going to be real pissed. I'm going to call him now. So, they make a decision there.
Oh, so something I'm curious about. You mentioned you've been using Vue for 6 years. What made you decide on Vue instead of React at the time?
I think it was just a random decision, to be honest. Like I worked with jQuery just like in the company I worked at. And then I went to a conference and they offered workshops. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's take this. Like I saw this Vue.js thing on Twitter. Like I just want to know more about it. And then I learned more about it. And then I started implementing it at work. And then I just stuck with it. Like I think it's just a random decision. If they would have had a React workshop, I would probably be working in React right now. So,
well, thanks to those people who did that workshop.
Yeah. We need to diversify. I want to know about this one. What do you think about Ryan Reynolds speaking at PostCon?
I mean, it's insanely cool, right? But is it necessary though? Like, what is he going to talk about? Like, I just saw he's going to speak. I didn't see what he's going to speak about.
I think it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah. But
you don't think he's going to speak about like API testing tools?
I wouldn't put it past him. I think he could get up there and do a really well-informed speech about things for like developer things.
Like I could imagine him talking about entrepreneurship. He has like his gin brand, like, and other ventures probably. So,
Mint Mobile, bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so I think it would be very cool. Like it's insanely cool to have this person speak there. But like, where do you get the funds from, and what are you cutting because of it? Or is he just like a buddy of the organizer and he does it for not
I think
that much money, but I don't think so.
I think he's the buddy of $500,000 is my guess.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's a good friend to have.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least tech conferences are back. So it used to be very, very slim pickings, but we're back, at least.
Are you going into any this year?
I'm going to Render Atlanta in June.
Ah, yes.
Any of you going to be there?
No, my wife is pregnant with twins right now, and at the latest will be giving birth by May 12th. So no, I won't be there.
Right.
Well, congrats.
Thank you.
A little tied up in that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Twins.
Yeah. We went, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 18 years ago? Who knows?
Back when you were just an infant, little Robbie?
Yeah. No, we went a couple years back, and it was really fun. Definitely would recommend.
Yeah, I always wanted to speak there, or at least be there, but I couldn't justify the cost to just go and attend. It, like, alone the flight is like too expensive to just go there. But now I was invited to speak. I get part of my travel reimbursed, so that's nice. Hotel as well, so we connected with the trip to my in-laws in Mexico, so that all works out great.
Interesting. Your in-laws in Mexico, like Luxembourg to Mexico. There's so many connections here that are very curious to me. And where are you from, actually?
I am from Luxembourg.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes that easy. And then you've obviously been to Mexico before, I guess.
After university, I moved to Mexico for 5 years, actually, because I met someone where I studied in Austria. I met someone from Mexico, and after I was done with my master's, they were like, "Hey, you want to come to Mexico and like work stuff?" And I was like, "I have nothing to do. I have nothing on my agenda," and I just went there. And there I met my now wife. So all turns out great. And then we came back here. Yep.
I think there were like 5 languages your website said you were fluent in. Is Spanish one of those?
Yeah.
Okay.
We speak
Well, then that makes
Spanish
that
at
easy
home.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
So you are speaking at Render. They're taking care of part of your travel, tying it into a very cool trip. So that's really fun. Have you learned to make tortillas yet?
Yes. As a
Nice.
matter of fact, I did. Yeah.
Family and I are planning to move to Italy in the summer. Another reason why I can't go to Render either. Anyway, that's like high on my list right now. I need to learn how to make tortillas because I live in Phoenix. We have access to great Mexican food here. Italy, not so much.
Yeah.
Great food
You
otherwise.
don't use the word
Yeah.
great with Mexican food in Italy. You definitely don't.
No, I don't think I would.
Yeah, no.
I did see some ingredients in grocery stores, but it looked like it was like Ortega stuff that had expired 10
No.
years ago.
El
So I don't-
Paso
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
none
hard
of that stuff.
shell tortillas. Yeah.
Yeah. No good stuff. So I was like, I'll just make them. I love a breakfast burrito, so that's kind of
Nice.
my soft spot. But I need a good tortilla as the base for that. They have all the other ingredients.
Well, that would
but
be
I
a
need
flour tortilla, I guess, then. Or do you
I
make
know.
corn tortilla breakfast tacos?
I would make corn tortilla breakfast tacos, but a breakfast burrito definitely calls for flour.
Yeah. I guess burrito is never corn because it wouldn't hold up.
Yeah. I'm glad you worked that out.
Listen, I get Taco Bell sometimes, and it's not Mexican food at all.
Yeah, no. It's more of those crunchy shell tacos that Mark is sneering his nose up at, like, no. His wife would be disappointed. Look,
I would still eat it though, probably.
yeah. Crunchy tacos can be good. They're their own thing, but they're like American food, right?
Yeah, like I mean,
They're-
it's like it's Tex-Mex. It's still good, right? It's still good
Yeah.
food. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Your in-laws might feel differently, but I don't know. I'm not going to speak for them.
Yeah, for me, Mexican food is probably the best food you can have in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Up there, like at least, very least in the top 3. So
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
especially street food, like some truck where they cook with a ton of grease, and you know you're gonna get sick of it. So those are the best.
Those are the tastiest. Get sick or not. And you can get like 20 tacos for like $10. It's crazy.
All right, so I do want to move into some whatnot stuff. This is kind of maybe not 100% whatnot, a little bit tech related. I read 0% of your blog post about Inbox Zero, but I wanted to ask you about it on the spot. You can tell me about it. I don't have to read it. So is Inbox Zero actually a thing you can do?
I do it every day. Yes.
Really?
So you just start by just marking all your emails, or almost all your emails is done, like from just except the ones that are like not older than a month, and then you just go, I did this, I reschedule it, or I delete it, I mark it as spam. But every email has an action to it. Like if you can't do it right now, just reschedule it, just to remind me later, or you mark it as done, and there's not much else to do. You mark it as spam, you're done, you delete it, or you reschedule. There's nothing else to do. And then when you just stay on top of that, you are like, let me just check how is my Inbox Zero stats. 225 weeks Inbox Zero.
Wow. Yeah,
That's pretty solid.
I'm probably like, I don't know, how many weeks has email existed now? All of those weeks been about like 7,000 unread emails. So I just like can't even get started.
Mark, everything is done like from the last, like until like maybe 2 weeks ago. And then like, because if there was something important about it, it will come back eventually. Or
That's
it
true.
Yeah, so it's like if you owe money to someone, they will write another email. So don't worry about that too much. Just mark everything as done, and then you just go from the last few. You are like, okay, I respond to this person, I reschedule, I mark it as done, and then
Okay, that's a
you
good
go.
strategy.
Yeah.
Just
clear out
clean slate.
6,000 plus. Yeah, clean slate.
yeah.
like a
And
good way to go
I
about it.
use Superhuman for this. Like maybe they can sponsor the episode as well, and then you get free.
Yeah, they certainly have the money.
subscription.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like years ago, I just got onto the hype train and I never left it. So I don't know if it's worth the cost, but I try to not think about it too much because I actually like how the software works. But you can probably do this with other email clients as well. So
I used it for I don't know, 6 months or so. It was very expensive, but it was like everything had a keyboard command. It was very like easy to use and keep up with. And I think they're the best client. I just don't want to give them piles of money, so I don't use them.
It's like a Neo Vim for email, but expensive.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, subscriptions for so much. I'm just like anti-subscription lately. I just want like, can I pay you a flat fee and just get your software?
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but yeah, what do you want to do? Most of anything is subscription.
It's all about that MRR.
That's right.
MMR go brr.
Oh, man. So it says here in this internet document that you're learning to be a pilot?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Airplanes, not helicopters, right?
Airplanes, yes.
Yes. That seems better. Or you can, boat pilot. No, that's like, anyway. Yada, yada.
Okay, I guess I
learning to
didn't
fly.
specify what type of pilot.
You
but yes,
didn't.
Airplanes,
pilot
yes.
things. Okay.
Airplane pilot, yeah.
not helicopters. Helicopters are scary. Like, that's just crazy town.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah, I don't trust helicopters.
Yeah. As you should not. How long have you been trying or working on pilot training?
Way too long, and I'm happy when it's over. Since October 2022. Sorry, 2022.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, whoa.
So flying, like physically flying it for since 2 years. And yeah, a lot of people finish in a year or less. Looks like I'm a slow learner, first of all. And second, the environment, there's a lot of bad weather. If the weather's bad, I can't go fly. If the instructor isn't available, you can't go fly. If the airplane isn't available, you can't go fly. And the most challenging thing about all of this, actually, I think it's the most challenging thing I have done ever. Not because it's so hard to fly a plane. You need the patience. You really need the patience when you learn to drive a car, you just go with someone that has a car and you sit in there and then you just go. And you can go as much time as you want. But here, you really have to look that the weather is good. The airplane has to be there. The instructor has to be available. You have to plan your flight, which takes up to 3-4 hours each flight. And then it might still get canceled for some reason. And the patience, it get canceled again. 5 weeks of rainy weather and you can't go. The patience you need to suffer through all of that, it's suffering when you can't just advance in your training. You really need the patience, and I think I really learned to be more patient as well with the whole thing. And the whole thing, the weather, you can't control the weather. Why be upset about it? You get sort of used to it, but it's still I think it's the hardest thing I've done because I'm not a very patient person.
But it does seem like a thing you want to get right. Yeah.
Do they make you do a specific number of flights to be done?
Yeah. There's a minimum requirement, but I need to be endorsed by my instructor to take the exam. So I can't, for example, now, I'm taking the last test, so I get the endorsement for my final exam. So I'm still short before finishing it. If you're not ready or safe in any aspect of it, they make you do more training, which is a good thing, especially because I would just do this privately. I won't go commercial or anything. So all I learn is now. I won't, after that, if I have some bad habits there, nobody will take them away from me. And so I want to be as good as I want. So I'm now, the minimum is 45 flying hours. I have 130. So way over the minimum, but I mean, I'm happy that I will be safe out there. So
yeah, that seems like a good concern to continue on and absolutely have 100% confidence to the best of your ability.
There's a lot that could go wrong. So yes.
Yeah.
Something that is much lower stakes. Tell me about roasting your own coffee.
Oh yes, a random thing also. At the end of last year, I was it would be so fun to roast coffee because I've been brewing my own coffee at home for a few years now, since COVID actually. And I was it would be so cool to roast my own coffee. And then I did some research, and it seems to be sort of also intensive to learn. Not intensive, but you can get it wrong quite easily. But I found a very small roaster, also a high-tech thing, like super geeky thing. Like you can control it with an app. Like you can see the profile that it wrote, like in like temperature, how it goes, and how it progresses during the few minutes that it roasts the coffee. And I was like, yeah, this looks easy enough for me to use this. So because others are like, you just put it in and then you control the temperature by yourself. Like I'm not very capable there, I feel. So like this thing, you just, like they even sell you beans and then you scan the beans and they give you a roasting profile for those beans, like the suggested roasting profile. So you select it, you put in the beans, it roasts for you, you take it out. So it's not that hands-on as others, but you can still like adjust the profile and you get interesting results from it. And it's just like a little fun thing to do. I used it a little bit as a, let's say, personal branding thing at the conference. I like every year I love to go to Vue.js Amsterdam. It's my favorite conference ever. I really love going there. So by now I know many people in the community, and I took how many, like 40 bags of self-roasted coffee to just give away to my friends and people that I know there, and people loved it. Like it was like, now I'm gonna be the guy, like, hey, the guy that brings the coffee. I think it's a neat little marketing trick, like personal branding trick to sort of like stick out. You don't know, like, who will remember you for what. I told you before, I've been looking like for a new job. I found a new job. I can't tell yet which, but that job was also, I think, like influenced by random things. Like at Vue.js Amsterdam, I do like videos for the conference with another speaker. Like we do it like since for the last 4 years. And I think people like remember me, and it's not, of course, not the only reason I got the job, but it's like maybe someone remembered me because I know I interviewed people from the team. Like you never know who remembers you for what, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy. And I don't know, like I feel like it's that sort of the luck that, I don't know, maybe like 5 years from now I need something and someone is like, hey, this guy, I remember you, like come on, like let's see if we can do something together. I don't know.
Every little bit like kind of helps in a way of like helping you stand out from a stranger for sure.
I do have a business plan for you here, though. Have you thought about roasting coffee and selling it through a Vite plugin? You could be like an adjacent terminal coffee, but for Vue developers or Vite developers. I guess anyone that uses Vite doesn't have to be Vue, but
yeah,
it's not the worst idea I've heard. You know, they try to do donations.
I will buy terminal coffee. I will buy them. Just really write DAX. Hey, I will buy you for like $5.
I think they're making more than $5. I don't know. I could be wrong, but
yeah.
I think it's a nice, like, I don't think they get rich of it, but I think it's a nice income.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 12 of them though, so the split can't be great right now because we'll see what they build up to.
I think they probably make more off of all of their like appearances and stuff than the coffee, but I don't know.
But I mean, the coffee is a great, like, also marketing tool. Like, and it's like, it's a genius thing to like coffee developers. Developers love usually coffee, and then they just sell it through terminal. Like, just the geeky idea behind it. It's just, it shows like a lot of creativity. So I don't know. I now have in mind a lot of people from the team that I know just because of the coffee, and I'm like, oh yeah, like this must be a creative person. I don't know. I have that like in my mind, like, oh, these are creative people. Like, it's a genius idea. You probably don't get rich of it, but it's a nice idea.
It helps people stand out, like you were saying, and obviously they're trying. You know, they are pursuing their own separate things as well. So to kind of just have a thing to let people know more about them and what they're doing. I mean, live streaming the creation of the app was pretty cool. And then launching the coffee. And yeah, it's been like a series of very interesting tech-centric marketing moves.
Yep.
All much more business savvy than I am.
But turns out. Yeah. Well, you know, you're a work for. They are a I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah. I can
they're not
execute
W2s.
things. I am not an idea man.
Right. There you go. Well, pluses and minuses. But then again, like, don't undercut any of your ideas. Maybe you just roast coffee and take it to a conference. That's also kind of a cool idea. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know what comes out of it. I don't know.
Who knows? 10 years from now, we're like, oh, where's
Yeah,
that coffee?
I even thought about like selling, like start selling it, but then it's the whole thing like because I handle food, I need like a special authorization from the government, and then it's like a whole thing, and like I just do this in my kitchen, like
Yeah.
just I won't sell it. I will just
Set up a little stand outside of your house and, like, you know, sell it there. People walking by.
yeah,
You can
and
do
hope
it like
nobody-
that, like they do the weed business in DC. You can't buy the weed, but you can buy a shirt, and then they give you weed for free.
A gift with, this is a thing with, cannabis
Oh,
in
like-
Washington, D.C. It's only illegal to sell, but it's not illegal to have it, and it's not illegal to give it. So they would sell art, and you get a free gift with purchase.
Yeah, wasn't this a story of Jack Daniels back in, like in the beginning? Like I don't know what you had to buy, but you got a free bottle of whiskey with it.
Interesting. I don't know that story. But
I know
now
that Jack
wanna look it
Daniels
up.
is made in a dry county, so I could see them not being able to sell it there if that was like the original thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There you go.
We'll have to look that up.
Dumbfounded on that one, but I definitely will look it up. Yeah, it sounds like a good story.
All right, we are about at time here. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we end?
Not really. Maybe if you're at Render Atlanta, come say hi.
There you go.
Yeah.
Are you bringing coffee to Atlanta?
Yes, I will.
Oh, nice. There you go. So
I will
That's,
probably even make some more coffee because there's so many more people that I haven't met before. And of course,
Right.
you want to stand out, right?
yeah, that's a good one there.
So Chuck and I will have you leave some coffee with Kelly Vaughn, because I'm sure she'll be there. And we'll take it from her one day.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
All right, we'll let her know. Please
Yeah.
seek you out. Give you a whiskey from us.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for having me,
boom, boom,
guys.
boom,
And thanks for listening, everyone.
You've been watching Whiskey Web and Whatnot, recorded in front of a live studio audience.
What the fuck are you talking about, Chuck?
Enjoyed the show? Subscribe.
You know people don't pay attention to these, right?
Head to whiskey.fun for merch and to join our Discord server.
I'm serious. It's like 2% of people who actually click these links.
And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and tell your friends about the show.
All right, dude, I'm out of here.
Still got it.